Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session involving an array of intelligence that I'm sure you would agree has not been assembled elsewhere during this event. I'm not sure whether it's the lower end or the higher end of the scale, but we'll find out later on. In any case, I'm Tony Redmond, and I have the pleasure and the privilege of being the moderator of this session. That means I get to ignore the really bad questions that you guys have and pick out some good ones. So start thinking about some good ones. If you want to heckle, that's okay. As I've said before, don't tell us that we're old, ugly, or anything like that, because we know all of that. Okay? Come up with some good heckling, and we'll listen to you. Anyway, on the panel, arrayed in front of you. No, I'm going to introduce you. You don't have to worry about it, Steve. Just stay calm. This is Andrew from Dell, who's he's a Texan, so he speaks funny sometimes. Okay, well, he's a good guy to ask anything about hardware. He's big into hardware. Okay? Here's Ingo from SAP. He'll talk to you about, yeah. Ingo loves big deployments. So if you want to talk about big deployments, Ingo's your man. Then there's Michael, the hybrid guy. Got to tell you a story. 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I met Michael for the first time. He was a meek guy, a little meek guy who met me on the way to the splendidly named Gaylord Conference Center for MEC 2012, and he could barely talk to me. Jeez, he doesn't stop now. And here we have Jeff. Jeff leads his own consulting company in the Bay Area. And he'll talk just about anything to do about Exchange. And finally, I'll get out of your limelight, Steve. We have Steve from London. Steve smiles for a living, so he's willing to teach you all about that. Okay, so that's got the introductions out of the way. Who's going to give the first question? We'll ask you to come up to a microphone so we can hear you, and you will be recorded for posterity. Scott, you're not allowed to ask questions, except if you want a new tip. We'll give you a new tip. Ross, you really want to give Scott the clap? You really want to do that in public? Okay, moving quickly. You know, this is the Exchange Development Group. These are people who actually build the product. You know, thank you. We have a relatively human being here. Ask a good question, sir.
Well, I was wondering, now, besides, this is not a technical question whatsoever, but in most of the cases, but the fact that you guys are there, it's nice to see and pick your brains of how you would have addressed this issue.
Sure.
I have a lot of government, my customers represent official government divisions, and every time I'm trying to get them over to the Office 365, the term is security. The term is, as long as there's another administrator with full access. The terms that I have to meet is, well, it's Microsoft, we don't trust it. How would you have addressed this? How would you try to alleviate their worries and at the same time try to establish some kind of a step forward into the future?
Jeff, I think you're my go-to man for this question.
All right. So, first thing I want to do is I want to know what the drivers are and what it is that they're thinking that they're scared of. Generally, that boils down to job security. But there may be some business reasons that they're not able to go. The cloud is all great and all-knowing, and we love it. But there are some things that the cloud can't do yet. And so if we can identify what the things are that they need, see if it can be solved within the cloud, and also from a security perspective, you know, the Trust Center is a great resource. There's a lot of information there. I would argue that Microsoft can do security 100 times better than most companies can do on-prem.
Well, the issue here is not the fact that they are protected with Microsoft playing on the same team. The issues for some of them is that as long as another party is involved, and in this case it is Microsoft, that's the security issue. Now, we've mentioned that location, I've tried to tell them that we have local data centers where we've communicated with our Microsoft. This is Oslo, Norway, by the way. We tried to dampen their worry by telling them that it's local, but the issue of the fact that there's still a Microsoft administrator somewhere that has access, that presents a troublesome and worrying idea.
Earlier today, I had co-presented a session about securing Exchange on-prem, similarly to how Microsoft does in Exchange Online. And one of the things they discussed was how in Exchange Online there is a very, you call it automated system, but it's really not automated. It's actually a very defined system of any time a change needs to be made, it has to go through almost a change review process, even for seemingly simple tasks. So. I guess you could alleviate the fear that it's just some junior Microsoft admin, turning knobs and whatnot in their eyes. So it obviously still is Microsoft. It still is a different organization, but you can certainly share some of the slides from that session or the session Taming the Beast, how Microsoft secures Exchange or Office 365. Raji Dani, my co-presenter, presented that earlier in the week. It goes into great detail about how they go around handling changes to customer tenants and how they and infrastructure changes as well. I mean, that might address it from the, it's someone else, I don't know their operations. So that scares me. At least that's them trying to share what their operations are.
Well, to add upon that is the judicial aspect of it all. We have a humanitarian organization that I cannot mention at this point in time, but they refuse to go to Office 365, for instance, with the fact that they refer to cases by which the tenant has lost ownership of the data because a case was taken up in the American court system. And it's questions like that where we struggle in trying to establish a good trust to move them to that platform.
Just to finish on this one, I think you're in a particularly detailed situation. Firstly, the guy you're talking to right now, Scott, will give you a lot of help about compliance and all of the audit reports and stuff like that that are in Office 365 and backing up what Microsoft has done to make sure. But I'll give you a couple other things. So the first thing is, if they don't want to go to the cloud, that's fine. And we now have Exchange 2019 coming, and they're welcome to go in and secure that the way they want to do it. It'll be there in late 2018. Second point, if they do want to go to the cloud, I would suggest to them that they can protect their data far more easily in the cloud than they can do in on-prem, even by using something like information rights management, which is so much easier in the cloud than it is on-prem. In fact, I believe Microsoft, I think it's been announced that their Bring Your Own Key is going to support Exchange very soon. So they're in total control of the key that encrypts all of the information in Exchange, right? And the third point I say to you is that I think when people have this type of discussion, I think they're coming from a point where they're not educated about the current state of the cloud. They have a view which has evolved, perhaps imperfectly, over the last number of years, and they don't realize what the current state of play is. I think the first thing I would ask them to do is do some research into what the current state is around security, around compliance, around data governance, around things like the lockbox, customer lockbox feature that I think Andrew was referring to, and then have a discussion. We have a discussion about today's reality rather than some view of Office 365 and Exchange Online as it was perhaps in 2013, because it's very different today. Okay? Thank you. Sir.
Hi, so currently I'm in a hybrid state. We can't get rid of on-premise Exchange right now because of the AD Connect, But really, should I be planning for that? Should I be trying to get rid of my Exchange servers on premise because of if I allow the whole AD Connect to fully write back all of the Exchange attributes? I mean, should I be planning for that, or should I always have to have an Exchange server on-prem?
Okay, Hybrid, you're up.
So have a look at the session, and I've said it too many times, I even know it by heart, BRK2155 this morning from Jeff Kisner, How to Thrive as an Organization in Exchange Online. It contains all the new announcements about hybrid features that are coming in the next months, one of which is the ability to do away the lost Exchange server for management perspective. The session I just gave before this one, I talked about why to keep that server other than management capabilities, SMTP relay, one of them. Obviously, you could do that or solve that in other problems. So the question is, should I be planning for it? Well, it really depends on what you want to do with it. If you have no use for the server and you're just keeping it around for management purposes, then eventually that problem, if you will solve itself. But if you're doing other stuff with it, SMTP relay, you might as well just keep it around for the time being.
Thank you.
Okay, come on, next one. Oh, don't be shy. We don't. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I'm old. I don't. My peripheral vision isn't what it was, etc., etc. Please.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Hi.
We started our Exchange online migration, but came to a screeching halt because of shared mailboxes and shared calendars. So, what did we miss? Did we do something wrong? Should that not have been an issue? And what's your thought on best way to migrate a large workforce where many people have a shared mailbox?
I think I'm going to ask Steve Goodman to answer this because you've written about this in the past, haven't you?
Well, it's mostly been the bane of my life for the last 5 or 6 years, at least. So if you're running Outlook 2013 with the current patches, then you're in a reasonably good place for shared mailboxes. Otherwise, if you're running Outlook 2010, then you have a bit more of a problem. So what have you got at the moment?
2016.
So 2016, you're in a good place, absolutely. So shared mailboxes are less of an issue. There is still a lot of performance testing that you might need to do because perhaps if you're a multinational customer and you've got Outlook Anywhere in just one place in the organization, it might change the behavior of network traffic to those shared mailboxes. Calendars, though, remain an issue. And back as far as 2014, I remember being on a panel session with Greg just down there and wished for that to be less of an issue. And it's still an issue, but the mitigation against that and what perhaps you need to start doing is looking at how you can examine the relationships between users within the organization to understand who shares with who and build that mesh of sharing and then plan the migration around that. If you're running 2016, then you've got clients that are compatible. And usually if you've got a client upgrade that you need to do, that's one of the big areas that causes problems with that kind of batching where you can only go at a certain rate to upgrade clients. But if your clients are in a good state, then you should be able to ramp up to large numbers of pre-synchronized mailboxes, switch them over, use the fast track center script to help examine the batches that could be within your organization, and then use a bit of business intelligence to understand the relationships between people, different departments, to then break down perhaps what might be large batches into smaller batches that might be department by department to get sub-batches for each night. Ideally, you want to get as many people that share together to move at the same time. And where you can't do that, move those groups of people closely together and work hard on the user communications to make sure that they understand that there's going to be a gap that they need to get across.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Sir.
When is Microsoft going to build a tenant-to-tenant migrating tool?
Well, they announced that they are doing something today. Now, they announced that they're doing mailbox migration using MRS cross tenants.
For your reference, BRK3155.
Okay, BRK2148. I don't know, he's been tweeting about it all day, What can I say? His fingers are worn away, or his thumbs or something like that. But essentially, they're going to be able to move mailboxes between tenants, which is great. That's one of the fundamental building blocks that you've got in cross-tenant migration. But I think if you look at the world of mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures, there's a lot more that goes on just than moving mailboxes. I mean, you know, you've got SharePoint, you've got groups, Teams, Yammer, all of this kind of stuff. So we're at the start of the journey. There are third parties out there that do a lot more today. But look, it costs money. But mergers and acquisitions cost money. I know, I've been through a couple of really big ones.
We're an EDU.
Okay, well, you know, if you want to live in the big boy world and do mergers and acquisitions, you're going to go. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. Anyway, the good news.
Thank you for all your blogs, too, by the way. I'm sure most of you guys have been in all your blogs, so thank you.
Thank you. By the way, all these guys have got blogs as well, you know. Please. Here's the first. Thank you.
Can I add something to this, though? I don't think Microsoft will easily be able to have a complete solution for this anytime soon. So we know that they can't migrate everything.
Yeah.
But there's also, I mean, we've got a long list of customers that were doing these merger and acquisition type migrations. And you find that there's data sanitization that you need to perform during the migration, because you might have a financial institution where their set of standards for data governance was lower on the source tenant than on the target tenant. And I don't think it's even fair to ask Microsoft to solve these differences as part of those projects.
Right. And I think that's why I said it was a fundamental building block. But it's certainly not something that I think that is going to solve a merger and acquisition. And any merger and acquisition, I say, has got lots of consulting around it. So that's why you're going to be gainfully employed for years.
I think you need expensive consultants. And lots of them.
Here is an expensive consultant, but there's only one of them, thanks be to God. Sir.
Hi, so my question is about public folders. So what is the direction that I should be telling my customers? Are we going from within a hybrid environment? Should we be taking public folders up to public folders on Exchange Online? Should we put them to groups? And when is the best time to migrate that?
How many million have you?
Well, I work for consultancy, so I deal with quite a lot of organisations that have, you know, terabytes of public folders. So.
Yeah, I don't like them very much.
Tony hates.
Do you want to talk about
cockroaches of?
Yeah,
that's what he calls them. I think they have their place.
Well, they have a certain aura about them.
The aura or odor.
It's my accent.
They do solve some problems, and they, you know, being mail enabled, being available from OWA very easily, persistent read or keeping the read status. There is a place for them. It's up to you on your business. I mean, Microsoft has some great scripts. They're in preview right now to migrate those public folders to groups.
No, it's GA now.
Is it GA?
GA this week.
So, you know, there's alternatives. Before public folders, it was like there was a big push. Everybody said Microsoft was going to get rid of them, and everybody tried to move them into SharePoint. A lot of people were successful with that. A lot of others weren't. So they're out there. I don't see a great need to get rid of them. I don't feel like I need an alternative. But you should look at all the different collaborative ways of sharing information and figure out which one works best for your company, because it's not always, you know, the way it has worked, but look forward and see how your business can use it.
Okay. Thank you.
No, don't go away. This is public folders we're talking about.
You brought it up. So to the question, though, of whether or not you should move them, I would say yes. Obviously, it depends. But if you're hybrid and everyone's in the cloud, then there's no real need for them to stay on premises. Then I would look into moving them. And then while you're moving them, this is a great time to either sanitize them, i.e. Get rid of them, or move them into groups, or do something else with it. But that's a great time to do that, to actually go into them and look at them. Do we use them? A lot of organizations I work with actually find out that the few public folders they have are just old, stale data, not actively used anymore. So then the answer would be no, don't bring them over, because they'll live on forever, right? So it kind of depends, but there's no need to keep them on-prem because they'll just be a burden there.
So just to get you also an overview from an enterprise perspective, so we have also over 140 server, 130,000 mailboxes. We don't have any public folder, and we are happy.
So why
but due to M&A activity, we also got another company.
So why are you talking about them if you haven't got any?
No, we knew that before. So we were smart enough. And but I know due to an M&A activity, there is also another company, and we're moving them all to the cloud. And there's also the task, and I know it's hard for you, most likely, to tell the people, hey, we don't need any public folder, or we have to migrate them. Of course, everybody's going to be freaked out first. It's not going to happen, because, hey, we have our CRM out of public folder, right? Same happened here, but just keep nagging on it, yeah? And meanwhile, they get down to really a reasonable number, and then you can migrate them. It's always keep nagging on it, get rid of it. And if you have them on-prem, migrate them to the cloud. Yeah.
Okay, and to terminate this discussion, I'll tell you that just last week, one of the other MVPs, a guy called Vasil Michev, assisted by Steve here, wrote a book about how to eradicate public folders. It's available free from Quadratech.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm running in a resource forest topology, which is something that a lot of people don't run anymore. And I wanted to have some insight from you on when I establish my hybrid configuration, because that is going to be the direction my company is going. Do you have any insight on how to make that as smooth as possible? And in your opinion, do you think a resource topology is still even relevant today? It was already existing in my company. I inherited it.
Be kind.
Yeah, I know
Be
resource
kind.
forest.
Be kind.
No, yeah. I mean, I know resource forest. We have also for some application resource forest. This becomes more and more complicated, definitely. The complexity gets higher. The chance that you run into issues getting higher and higher. But first of all, when you start hybrid, look up the documentation. There is something. There is definitely explicitly explained if you have a resource for something like this, yeah, you have to follow, and when you establish a disconnect there, follow the rules. To change it afterwards, it's really a hassle, and you really got yourself into hell.
I inherited it.
It's
not something I would have.
It's not my problem.
But it's manageable. It's manageable. Just follow the rules and read the documentation up front before you click yes, 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 and then figure out, oh man, we have to change it, because otherwise later on it's a hassle. You have to add. You have to add something there.
No, yeah.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Well, no. I mean,
he does.
resource. So, just to add a little bit more detail, the complexity there is not so much on the exchange part. It's more managing the attribute flow across forests, right? So again, identity the root of all evil. But to be fair, should you go hybrid with the resource forest model? Again, it depends. If you can collapse the forest first, you might be able, to do you a big favor. If you can't, then as Ingo said, there is some guidance out there, and if you follow that to the letter, depending on the situation you're in a pretty good shape. But it essentially boils down to getting the attributes at the right place, and then, moving mailboxes is easy.
I assume you're referring to the linked master SID account attribute, how it links between the two, the user forest and the resource forest, making sure all that's correct.
Amongst other things, I mean, because your mailbox lives in a different forest than the account forest that you're theoretically syncing. So there's a lot of attributes, and if you want to know, it's basically like a cross-forest move where you had to run the prepare move request, to get some attributes over. And obviously the matching as well, right? Because your user accounts live in two different forests. It's just making sure that all the required attributes get from the resource forest into the and the account forest into Azure AD.
Right. I run Skype for Business on-prem in that resource forest as well, so I use that aspect. The SIP is the email address. I also use, it was Good Dynamics, and BlackBerry bought them, so now it's BlackBerry Dynamics. That's also in that forest, so I have all these moving parts, so.
Sorry.
So let me ask one question here. The five here. Okay, so we're going to have a majority. Okay, the five of you. Simple question. If you were about to start a deployment to Office 365, would you try and simplify the on-prem Active Directory, yes or no? Yes? Or who would say yes? You don't?
It depends.
It depends. You see, that's the
So
problem.
I do.
You get five experts, you get five
we're
different
good
opinions.
consultants. It's always it depends.
Well, let me inject something. Healthcare technology company, strong InfoSec department, and separations of things.
Yeah, so that's going to be a barrier to you. So I always start with a good, strong health check, on both forests, and make sure that everything is replicating right, make sure everything syncs up right, that you're not going to run into any problems, especially, little crazy DNS things that are just going to knock you on your side when you're trying to do it. So, but unless there's some major thing, in my opinion, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's try to get it over.
I appreciate your guidance.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I'm going to build on his resource forest issue. But as a recommendation for him, the IDP tool will also help you as a preparation to the IDP tool. It will evaluate your environment and look for inconsistencies or problems of
Are you
duplicates.
talking about ID fix?
Yeah, sorry, ID fix.
Yeah.
So to build on his, we have the resource forest. We have approximately 15,000 mailboxes. We're halfway there to the cloud. So what I'm trying to figure out now is we're starting our automation processes, and we want to just start creating mailboxes directly in the cloud. So how can I get rid of my resource forest? So if I'm going to just start creating mailboxes directly in the cloud, why would I keep my disabled accounts in my resource forest? I guess the end goal is I want out of that resource forest, but I'm still going to be in a mixed mode for quite some time. So you're going to have groups associated with that. The main domain, the primary domain, doesn't necessarily have the Exchange schema extended in there, but I want to think, forward and start creating my mailboxes directly in the cloud when we're done with moving everything up there.
That's only my personal opinion right now. I know, yeah. But simplicity, I wouldn't touch the running system right now. If what you're saying is you're halfway through, and you want to collapse your environment, the chance that you're going to break stuff are really high. So what I would, how many mailboxes are there? 10,000?
We have 15,000 in Exchange Online now. We're
And how
halfway
many
there.
left, maybe?
We're at 15 more thousand.
Oh, 15 more. So I would keep pushing and give it pushing, complete the migration, and then collapse. Because when you do it right now, but this is only my personal opinion here, it's I'm more from the standpoint simplicity and don't break running things.
So you're saying don't create new mailboxes in the cloud, but create them on-prem? As new people in attrition, obviously if we get new hires, are we supposed to create them on-prem and then migrate them up?
No. There are different points. So the one thing what you ask is, should you collapse your resource forest? This, I won't do it right now. I would just still, and even if new mailboxes, I would still create them. You can create them also a remote mailbox. Yeah, and have the object there still on-prem. So you don't have to migrate it directly, right? Create a remote mailbox.
Yeah,
So I'd have to I have the primary ID, and I would create the mailbox in the cloud, and then would I still have to tie it somehow to my resource forest where the Exchange attributes belong? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
more.
If you want me to.
Do you have anything intelligent to say?
So,
He's a very, 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 very fragile ego. Leave him be.
I am.
Let him have his moments.
He always gives me shit. So in this scenario, right, as long as you have the resource forest, if you create a mailbox directly in the cloud, I assume you have the identity on premises synced up into the cloud. Then you will always have to have the sync, the relationship back to the object on premises.
The
right?
disabled object as well.
Exactly, right? Because the account forest doesn't have the schema extension, doesn't have the
Exactly.
exchange attributes, right? Then you have a sort of disparity there, right? Is this a problem right now? Well, obviously you've already been doing it. It's not necessarily a problem. However, once you've gone past the 15,000 other mailboxes, then either collapse the forest, which today still means that you'll have to extend the schema in the account forest, because today the limitation is still there that you need that exchange server to manage mailboxes, on premises, or certain attributes thereof. In the future, I think that will still be solved, maybe 6 months out still. It was announced in the session this morning that you can then start managing mailboxes directly in the cloud without having to have that tie. So I'm not sure what the timeline looks like on migrating those 15,000 mailboxes, but this could be one of these issues that will solve itself over the course of the next few months.
He's very hopeful. He's super optimistic. Yeah. Okay?
I think so. So the remote mailbox command, you could still create it up there, and then I'm missing the part of how I'm going to tie it to the resource forest.
So the new remote mailbox command that you use just creates, as I said, the object on premises and the mailbox in the cloud. Just keep doing that. That's fine.
Thank you.
Well,
Sir.
she can, yeah.
Yeah, I know she. Yes, hello. Just to piggyback on that, so now we are a small company. We have like north of 300,000 mailboxes only. It's not a big, but we have a resource forest, and we have the same kind of questions, but we did that coexistence.
Would you like different answers?
No, but just to say that we don't really bump into any problem with that infrastructure. The way you manage it today is really what's going to drive if it's going to work correctly or not. If you have provisioning processes in place, if they work fine today, just create your mailbox on site and move it to the cloud. This way you solve all your solution. But we do have a very complicated security environment. And one of the challenges that we were asked is migrating from the cloud is not very nice. We don't like Microsoft connecting to your mailbox servers to pull the mailbox data. We would rather go the other way around. Do you know of any third-party tool that would be able to emulate the MRS migrations, but when you initiate the migration from on-premises?
Change it to a push move, you're saying?
Yes.
So, suggested by Ross here, BRK2148. Lots of Jesus. So this session this morning, they announced that they're working on, I think it's called the hybrid service backbone or hybrid fabric or whatever you want to call
connector.
it. And there is a connector in there, right, which will take away the need to have an endpoint publish onto the internet. Compare it to an Azure AD app proxy, right? Sort of micro VPN between you and Office 365, if you will, where the connection goes to that connector without, inbound connection. So the connector creates a connection outbound to the internet, and through there you could do, theoretically, a mailbox move. Now, it isn't there yet. They're still working on that. So between now and when it's shipped, there is no alternative because I think all this,
Can't re-architect it.
No, you can't re-architect MRS, but there are other methods to move mailboxes.
Well, there are third-party tools.
Yeah,
but
third-party tools, yeah.
What is it in particular that is stopping you from doing this? Because if you consider all of the companies that are moving their data to Exchange Online, they include they include customers that have got very sensitive data, and they're able to do this. It's just a little bit harder to get it through the right due diligence processes.
Yeah, the problem is it's not easy to break a corporate policy. So when the corporate policy says no cloud accounts should store the username and password of an internal user, it's hard to get around that.
An exception.
As I say.
Yeah. The fact is, you're going to move all your data there. There's got to be a point that you trust Microsoft to store an encrypted password. So really, it's just somebody's choice that they don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
It's
Trust
not.
Can be,
is there an actual
thing,
regulatory compliance contractual requirement to do this. It's trying to break it down into that and move it from it being somebody's personal preference that they've just pulled out of thin air, yeah, to something that's a true requirement that you are completely bound by. Yeah. And if that's the case and you need to go out and spend a lot of money on a third-party product that won't do it as well, then that's the choice that you've got to make, at least right now. Okay. And there are third-party products that can do that, but they're not going to do it via MRS.
MRS, yeah. I guess the problem I have with this whole question is, you know, there's over 100 million mailboxes already moved into the cloud, and nothing much seems to have gone wrong. So why does this person think that it's going to be all horrible?
That person is not an Exchange person which understands the way the migration works. That person is a security person.
And I've said this before, early on in your project, you need to get the security team involved. So an on-prem project I'm doing at the moment, already with the security team, we know we're going to implement hybrid as part of it because the direction is the cloud. They don't like it at the moment, but I'm making sure that early on they know this is coming. It might take a year to convince them. Hopefully not. But it's raising it early and dealing with this challenge and making it out in the open, helping them understand what problems need to be solved, understanding their point of view, and trying to slowly break this down until the point that they just won't resist and you'll get those mailboxes moved. Because when you look at all the other customers that have done this, they have very, very tight security requirements. They might be working with governments, financial services, all sorts, and they're able to do this.
You know what the solution is?
Does it involve a company you deal with?
No. The solution is to tell the InfoSec people that what they have to do is log on to everybody's mailbox and export the entire mailbox to a PST. Then go and recreate the mailbox in Office 365 and ingest the information. And after they've done that once or twice, they'll say, you go ahead, use MRS, it's good.
Well, they won't be the people that have to do this. But it might...
But if you force them to do it...
What I was getting at is they might have to spend an extra £1 million. They might be the people that have to justify spending £1 million on a project that was completely unnecessary. And I think it works well to try and get their backs up early on. Like, the customer wasn't very happy when he saw my face the other day when I said, as part of this project, we're putting an Exchange hybrid, we're going to open everything up to the world. And one of the Exchange admins looked at me, he's like, you didn't just say that. I'm like, yeah, we're not really, but we want to start that conversation early and talk through the realities of it. So we want them to ask all those horrible questions at the beginning of the project, not when we've done a design or when we're actually planning the dates we're going to do it. We want them to ask this stuff first of all, before we really go ahead with this project, and make sure that all of this stuff is signed off before we do any real work.
Okay? I think we've hammered that one to death. So let's take another one. We've one here, and then we're going to go over there, then we're going to go there and there. So, yourself.
I luckily don't have a resource forest that I have to manage. So, but my question is more regarding backups and what you're finding that a lot of your customers are doing as far as backups. Are they just using the native Exchange Online backups, or are they utilizing third party? Or
in the cloud or on-prem?
in the cloud.
So no, nobody's backing up the cloud.
Another cloud might back up the cloud.
Another cloud, yeah. Okay. The data protection features that are built into it, obviously the high redundancy, the multiple copies, the recovered deleted items retention, all of that stuff works great. If you've got somebody who needs higher requirements than that, put them on legal hold.
Okay.
Done. So was the question, should you use backups for Exchange Online? Is that the real question?
Yeah, just like wondering if that is something commonly that you're seeing out there, like using the third-party cloud backups to back it up or backing it up back to on-prem.
Yeah, and you know what, the third parties, they will make their own case for cloud backups. They'll say, oh yeah, it's good to have a backup. And to be fair, yes, you can take backups of just mailboxes or just documents. The real big problem, I think, as you head into an Office 365 is that it's not just mailboxes and documents anymore. There's now groups and teams and Yammer and Sway and everything and the kitchen sink that would have to be backed up. And the thing is that if you only back up mailboxes and you only back up documents, at the end of the day, that's all you're going to be able to restore. You will not be able to restore a group in fully functional order, a team in fully functional order, etc., etc. So the question really is, is backup technology that we have today, is it capable of dealing with Office 365? And the answer is it's only partially capable of dealing with a partial workload. So therefore, is it useful? You have to make your own judgment on that.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I think it's yourself, and then yourself, and then yourself. Oh, is he for? Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Sorry, bad eyes again. Sir.
Thank you. So I work on the infrastructure team in my organization.
Could you get closer to the mic? So
yes, sorry, is that better?
Okay.
Sorry. Excuse me. I work in the infrastructure team in my org, and we're in a hybrid environment, and for the foreseeable future, we're going to have at least 80K mailboxes on-prem, and we're interested, again, I hope this is an appropriate question. I don't know if people are doing this, but we're really interested in my organization into moving to sort of an agile, immutable infrastructure environment with things such as desired state configuration. And I got the impression last year that the Exchange Online group, that's how they work, right? They have something like, 200,000 plus servers, and everything is automated. Supposedly last year they said every 2 weeks, or maybe it was bi-weekly, they re-image machines, like entire machines. So my question is, for on-premise orgs, have you seen that, and how is it done? As far as patching and cumulative updates go, we're kind of sick of nursing along individual boxes and messing with that, and we'd like to move to this immutable infrastructure, so to speak. But I don't know if that's even something that's done, if we shouldn't even try.
So is the question that whether you should adopt what Microsoft does for Exchange Online?
Exactly. I'd like to, but I don't know if it's
servers every
practical.
couple of weeks.
What's that?
And rebuild servers every couple of weeks.
Well, not even necessarily that, but like at least for patching and cumulative updates. But I don't know if that's commonly done in org.
Yeah, I think we are the perfect example for this. So we, as mentioned before, we also have 140 server, roughly there, and we're using DSC, desired state configuration, because we have also so many customization. It's not only Exchange, but also Exchange. Simple example, ActiveSync, the message size which you're sending. Every protocol has a different message size. You have to adjust to align it with across all the protocols. It has to be modified every CU. So, yeah, you can do that with script, whatever, but we don't worry about this anymore. We have the configuration, we push it out to the server, that's it. And there we survive, because we are only human beings. Even if you have a checklist, 100% sure, maybe 10 server, they're good, the 11th server is going to be bad. And you run into trouble. So that's also what we're using for patching and for our on-prem. Even if we re-image the whole machine and set up a new server, doesn't matter, new DSC config, push it out. In a day, the complete deck is there, it's productive, we can move it back to the specific AD side, we're good.
Andrew, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, in reference to like re-imaging servers and so on, I can't speak to what Microsoft specifically does, but I do know at their scale, they monitor and calculate and analyze every bit of data you could imagine, from weather patterns affecting cooling and heating and so on to failure rates and whatnot. So whatever they do, they're going to do so not because of a hunch or so on, but because of a specific reason. So unless you and your data center has a specific reason for changing your operations, like you've had failures because of a server that's been around forever, which I personally have not seen that, I wouldn't go about making changes just because it makes sense in their data centers doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to even a large on-premises environment, because even a large on-premises environment still is going to pale in comparison to what they're running globally.
Okay, I think he's saying, have a look what they're doing, put it into context with your own operations, and make an intelligent choice. Yep. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
With Office 365's growth being exponential, and the feature parity between on-premise and 365 also being exponential. Where do you see the future of on-premise in 5, 10 years?
I'm glad I have the mic for this one. So with 2019 being announced, right, for those who are familiar with the product life cycle, if it maintains the same product life cycle, you're looking at 10 years, right? So 2019 takes us to 2029. My math stopped there in my head for a second.
No, if it's issued in 2018, it'll be 2028.
2028. As I said, my math is not where it needs to be. But I said this at a panel discussion a few years back, and I think it still applies today. When did all of this change for us? You know, when did our world change with hybrid and 365? It was about, what, 2011, 2012, right, the years. I remember sitting in, that's my first class I was in, learning about hybrid and the bazillion manual steps it took to make it happen. So we're really talking 5 or 6 years down the line, all the changes that have happened, all the innovations, the things that you folks bring to Microsoft as concerns and that they're addressing at a pretty good pace. So, I mean, who's to say in 2029 what the feature parity will be or what the on-premises feature set is going to be versus cloud? I think they're going to do what makes sense. And I accidentally got handed a Microsoft employee shirt instead of the MVP one, so maybe it's bleeding through on me. I'm talking a little bit. I'm a little bit much of a Microsoft company guy at the moment, but I think they're going to continue to do the right things, but they're obviously going to commit to on-premises for at least another 10 years. So, and they're going to still want to present features to make people upgrade to the latest version. So, I mean, that's my little piece.
That's for you guys in the front row.
That's all we get.
Does anybody want to talk about feature parity?
Before we do, I wanted to say that this is all going to depend on what happens with the cloud, because it could only take 1 or 2 unusual licensing decisions or 1 or 2 major failures for people to see Office 365 as a massive risk to their organization. It's very unlikely to happen, but things like that can change the tide in what people do. And that's why people do like Exchange Online over other services, because it isn't Hotel California. It's sold to the business as something where it is easy to move back from if it needs to be. So perhaps less so these days, but I think if there's a major failure or licensing prices go through the roof, then on-prem's going to make a comeback. Otherwise, it'll just drop to a
You heard it here
small
first.
amount.
You heard it here first. On-prem is going to make a comeback.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
All right.
Sir.
I do not have a resource domain, and I know that BRK2155, correct? All right. My question is, I have a hybrid setup, and most of my mailbox is up in the cloud, but my authoritative domain is on premise. So I have the active AD Connect and everything. My issue is when I create my mailboxes in the cloud, I still have to put that remote object on premise to give it the address policy for the primary SMTP thing. Is there gonna be any way around it? Because if not, I'll probably have to keep my hybrid forever, or may I be looking a different direction to kind of deal with that?
So for now, yes, you have to keep that hybrid on-prem. And in the future, BRK3155.
This message was brought to you by Microsoft.
And BRK3155.
Okay, sir, you're next.
Working for a Swiss bank, we are quite concerned by security. I would like to get some information from the fields in terms of what are the more secured way that you have seen or implemented to connect Exchange in hybrid mode, keeping in mind that we must be in a supported way, so we should not put too many firewalls, as far as I understood, between Office 365 and the internal Exchange, and keeping in mind that we would like to secure as much as possible the exposition of our infrastructure. If you look at what Skype is doing, for example, with their Edge server, it's from a security perspective, it respects layers of DMZ, etc. But for Exchange, it's just a straightforward connectivity. So
what the question was, what is the most secure way to go hybrid with Exchange? And I'm making it very short here. What do you see out in the field? Because Skype has the Edge server, which then adds another layer, and Exchange doesn't have that. MRS connect. Hold on. Exchange connections go directly into the hybrid Exchange server for mailbox moves. That was what he said. So first of all, we also have an Edge, yay. It's only for mail flow, right? And if you need something to terminate connections in the DMZ, then that is basically your only supported solution, right? Could you hack your way around it? Yes, but you don't want to do that, so let's table that for now. So the Edge transport server can help you to increase the perception of security, but it really depends on everything else. If you've got a firewall built in 1980 still protecting the edge of your network, then I'm terribly sorry, but nothing that you will do make it more secure. If you've got a next-gen firewall that has the ability to do some cool stuff with it, then obviously it'll be more secured. The worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, though, is build 7 layers of firewalls, 25 proxy servers, and then get to Exchange only to find out that your performance is horrible, right? Again, there is an interesting blog post on the MS Exchange team website about hybrid authentication, how all that works, and it explains in great detail how that is secured. And the best deployments that I've seen, and the most secure ones, are the ones that keep it fairly simple, but with modern technology protecting their edge of the network, right? The firewalls, maybe a reverse proxy in between, but that do it in a very good way. So it's a combination of doing certain things, right?
I kind of mentioned this earlier in the session about security exchange on-prem, similarly to 365. Obviously, Michael mentioned reverse proxy. So a lot of firewalls have add-on features that can do a little bit more enhanced security publishing of Exchange, where it can do some of the things maybe in the old TMG world that people had desires to do. You can also implement intrusion detection, intrusion prevention system, something where you actually see what the traffic is doing on the network. You can have it monitored, or you can just have it logged and in-house. You can also look at, Microsoft's opinion is if you do nothing else in 365 with your tenant, at least do multi-factor authentication. So any means of doing that on premises. I know Greg Taylor is going to have a session tomorrow about modern authentication on premises that's going to give some new insight into Microsoft possibilities there. But there are obviously third parties that can offer multi-factor solutions as well. So publishing, reverse proxies load balancers can be reverse proxies. You don't have to do pre-authentication because Microsoft doesn't do it either. So it's not a huge requirement there. And then monitor the network and focus on trying to get some kind of multi-factor auth solution in place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir,
hold on. Oh, sorry, I want to add one more thing. So I assume you have some sort of external traffic getting to your Exchange server? You got OWA, Outlook Anywhere, EAS?
No, it will be only, no.
No. SMTP?
SMTP, of course.
Okay, coming to the server, right? Directly to the server?
Because of Office 365, yes.
Okay. What?
They're in hybrid. So I guess
Oh, okay, so you're going through ELP. So you can easily lock down the firewall so that only the Microsoft IPs are able to do MRS, okay? Again, like we were saying earlier, if you don't trust Microsoft, you probably shouldn't be in the cloud. At some point, you've got to, you got to give that up.
Okay, sir.
Oh, excuse me. So my question revolves around journaling. So we have about 40 databases. We're just starting our hybrid migration. So how do we handle that in the cloud?
These are journal mailboxes.
Journal, yes, that are constantly archived somewhere else.
You have 40 databases full of journals.
Yes, a journal mailbox for each database.
So Office 365 doesn't allow you to journal within Office 365, so you're going to have to use an external thing. What? What? No.
Well,
I mean,
actually, no. The first question is, why are you journaling? Because you may not need to journal
True.
anymore. Because
Yeah.
now remember the changes a couple of years ago when all of the information that sometimes got lost in and needed to be captured in journals is now captured in message headers.
Correct. And the advances of in-place hold, you know, you can put things on hold and no longer journal is an option. So you could look at what your requirements are there.
For me, it would be an option. For our legal department, it might not be.
Yeah, but why do they want journaling? It's the whole thing. I mean, journaling is an old technology. It's a technology that was invented a number of years ago to fill a gap. So I think it's a viable question, it's a reasonable question to ask. If you're moving to the cloud, it's a brand new platform, brand new way of doing things. Why are you taking an old method and trying to use it in the cloud when perhaps newer methods, which are more efficient and more functional, exist? So personally speaking, I would go back to the legal guys and say, just explain to me in words of one syllable or less, what are you trying to do? Okay? And then have a look at some of the advanced governance features that exist in Office 365 and see whether or not they actually need to do journaling anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
So I'm currently working on a project where we have Exchange 2013 in one forest, Exchange 2010 in another forest. We have hybrid service with Exchange 2016. There are DAGs on those. I walked into that. There's also an Office 365 tenant. So they have moved the AD accounts over to the Exchange 2010 forest as well as the machine accounts. They're running Office 2016. So that's all compliant there. And I'm going to use a third-party tool for the Exchange 2013 migration to the tenant. There's about 10% in the tenant, 10% in the 2013 forest, and the majority, 80%, in the 2010 forest. The question I have is, in my planning, I would like to break the DAG away from the hybrid servers, considering that they have about 80 mailboxes there. It's pretty small for this environment. It's only about 800 mailboxes between all of these. I'd like to break the DAG off from the hybrid because when we put CU6 on there, it was a disaster for them. So do you think that's worth the time and effort to break that DAG, put two dedicated, excuse me, 2016 servers, because they need the 2016 platform for their Power BI implementation? So should I break the DAG before I migrate the mailboxes? I mean, move the DAG to dedicated DAG servers outside of the hybrid?
I would say no.
Okay, why?
Move the mailboxes first, then get your finished environment sorted. Why have an interim?
Because of the shared resources that are there. For instance, I set up Federation Trust between the two Exchange 2010 2013 forests, and then, of course, the Federation to the tenant. This was a client that I worked on before, left for a while, came back. Anyway, so they had done some of these things while I wasn't there. But I wouldn't recommend having these different platforms personally. So I'm just interested in, they have an unstable member of the DAG. We built out an additional DAG server to make at least there be HA and fault tolerance there.
Andrew has a...
Okay,
like
real quick, unless there's something broken there, it ain't broken?
It is broken. Well,
Okay.
the DAG's broken, so I wanted to...
The DAG's broken? If the DAG's broken, then yeah, either fix the DAG or break them off into separate servers, which is really pretty easy. And then move on from there.
That's what I mean. I'm going to take the DAG away from the hybrid. Isn't that best practice?
Well, so this is the idea that I think the product team would like folks to get away from, the idea that there are hybrid servers. It's more, there are hybrid configurations. Because when you run the new hybrid wizard, it's just, you can point to servers for certain functionality, but ultimately hybrid is not a set of bits that runs on a particular server. It's enabling features that exist on all the servers to achieve a particular goal, making your on-premises organization and the tenant appear as one. So there's no inherent problems with the DAG being on that server per se. You certainly troubleshoot why the DAG is behaving poorly, and if it's something you can't fix through regular troubleshooting, by all means, yeah, just move the mailboxes off if you would wish to do that, or just, I would not say get rid of the DAG because that's going to reduce your solution's availability. But just wanted to call out that, you know, hybrid servers is a term that they would probably like to do away with. Just hybrid organizations might be a little bit more
hybrid
accurate.
capabilities.
Hey, thank you. That's exactly it. Publishing exchange. And I would like to separate the DAG servers because the publishing of exchange, which was what was broken during the CU6. So everything went away. Even the SN connectors, the SMTP connectors, went away when they tried to apply on their maintenance window. CU6. So I would like to see, because, well, CAS services separated from the DAG services in this instance.
Yeah, the thing is, first of all, because this is maybe a little bit confusing, yeah, you have the hybrid configuration there, and the best thing, because you have all the mixed things, and the problem is, depending on where you run it, features got enabled, and you have to point to the latest version, and then from there, from the on-prem. So that means for you, this DAG, CO6, the setup, the upgrade might not run well. We also suffer this issue. You're not alone. But I would fix it first. I would have it fixed there.
Sure. Okay.
And then you can go from there. I mean, are there any mailboxes right now down?
There are mailboxes there.
They're down right now.
They're in the DAG, yeah, on the 2016.
In the DAG, but it's at least is up and running.
It is up and running. Yeah, I got it back up and running.
There are bits missing.
Just one question. You said 800 mailboxes in total. Is the 2016 environment where there's 80 mailboxes?
Yes.
Just move them away as quickly as possible.
Right, I have to move them up to the cloud.
Yeah, as quickly as possible. I mean, get rid of that on-premises environment. I mean, there's no, you know, I agree you can fix everything, but
well,
just
because of the dependency with the 2013 Exchange Forest, I can't do that right now. I have to put the Exchange 2013 mailboxes up there first.
Well, I would argue then let's try and, you know, let's fix that instead of, you know, figuring out how to fix the Exchange environment and put a lot of effort there. Just let's figure out how to, as quickly as possible, move those 80 mailboxes over. It's just, you know, attribute flow that has to be fixed, and then moving 80 mailboxes, you could do it in a matter of hours.
So maybe we can take this on after.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want to cut it very short, but I'm conscious that we have people queued up. So we have, I think you're next, yes, sir.
Yeah, this is kind of a quick, simple question.
None of them have been quick and simple today.
We have a hybrid environment, and we've...
it's a hybrid.
Yes.
And it's quick and simple.
We've migrated about 150 of our 1,000 users so far, but those have been newer mailboxes, new employees through an acquisition. For the on-prem people, our IT director has decided in his infinite wisdom that we first need to clean up the on-prem, get them down below like 2 gig of storage, file size, before we actually migrate them. Now, I know in the cloud we have, 50 gig available? Are we stumbling? Is this a stumbling? 100. We have 100 gig. So, I mean, what advice can you give me to take back to him and say, look, what are we doing this for? Why do we need to limit the mailboxes to 2 gig before we migrate them?
All that's going to do is reduce your migration times. If that's the key and you can invest the time in cleaning up mailboxes and that's shortening your window, then okay. But other than that, there's really no reason to.
Do you think your users are going to appreciate it when you clean their mailboxes for them?
No, and that's kind of brought the migration to a dead halt because
no
one's going to clean them up.
Yeah, what's the reason why 2 gigs?
Well, I think he wants to have them so that they, we have less data corruption as we migrate, less things that could go wrong.
Nah.
I mean, if it's just a matter of time, I don't see the reason.
Nah.
So what's he going to do? Is he going to put in place a mailbox retention policy that drops everybody down so they can only have mail for 180 days or something like that?
Yeah, that's the idea. 180 days or 90 days or whatever.
So one of the things that he'll probably do is that he will introduce a batch of PSTs to the environment as users react in the only way that users have reacted to storage quotas for years and years and years, which is I'm keeping my stuff, insert your favorite word there, by exporting them to PSTs.
Probably going to start a new problem.
I'll start a new problem.
Trying to solve a non-problem.
Yeah. I think I would say, yeah, it seems like a good idea, but the amount of heartburn that you will cause inside the organization, the compliance issues you will cause inside the organization, because that kind of axe to mailboxes might very well remove information that's required for compliance purposes. It's not going to be a happy thing. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's mailbox management 101 without reading the one.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, and I'm not calling him dumb or anything like that. It's a good idea on the surface, but below the surface are all the sharks. Sir.
I had more of an EOP question. Are you guys able to answer that? Sure. Okay, so I started off with Ironport on premise, and then we moved off of that and went right to EOP, gave users personal quarantines, and now I'm dealing with a lot of spam. Right, and so what we're having to do now is try to get them away from the quarantine and just do everything in mail flow rules. So I mean, what is your recommendation in dealing with spam, I guess, or should I just follow like other companies and like use a third party like Proofpoint or something?
Well, so while you guys figure out what you're going to do, let me just ask a follow-up question. Why do you think a third party will do any better?
Yeah, that's kind of the judgment, right? It's like, would Proofpoint, for example, be just as good as EOP, right? But
is there any evidence apart from a salesman's patter and the offer of a quick steak dinner to support that assertion?
Well, my problem right now is that the quarantine experience has been so bad that I kind of have to move them away from that and only use mail flow rules. I mean, we've talked with fast-tracked engineers too, and they say don't use the quarantine, it's bad. I mean, quarantine's pretty horrible, is what I'm saying.
I've never heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, if you go into the quarantine, you try to release like 5 emails, it'll error out. Or if you try to say, oh, this is not junk, it's supposed to go to a spam analyst, but it really does nothing. Because
what do you, yeah. No, I've never had anybody say that before.
Right.
Have you worked with the knobs and buttons that are within EOP to dial up your spam
Yeah, the
filtering?
spam policy and working with that and using
Okay. Yeah, the only thing about EOP is that it has a lot less buttons and knobs to turn.
Sure.
I found, which is good and bad, I found that EOP has gotten infinitely better over the last year. Amazingly so. As a matter of fact, do you remember the junk mail reporting tool?
Yep.
Okay, so I used to use that religiously. They don't have a version that works with my TAP version of 2016 anymore, so I don't use it. But I have found that when I mark things as junk, they are no longer even showing up in my quarantine anymore. It's so it may be built into it. I don't know for a fact, but it's gotten really, really good. So I'm using pretty much default settings a little bit, and it's working pretty good.
Pretty good.
I can't say why you're having that kind of a problem unless
maybe there are specific spammers that are targeting your site.
Probably.
Maybe some of your users have signed up to some interesting websites.
Well, I work for the gaming industry, so I work for Blizzard Entertainment, so we get a lot of we get a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Thank you for the guidance.
Okay, thank you. So, sir, and then you, and then you.
Okay, so we have a Exchange 2013 hybrid deployment. So all of our users have been migrated to Exchange Online. What we're planning on doing is, because of some geographic issues related to regulatory, we'd like to move some of our users out of Exchange Online to potentially the Azure hybrid fabric. I know it's supported for Exchange Online, but is there any pain points that we may have when trying to maybe migrate users from Exchange Online? Hybrid deployment?
So are you saying that you want to move people out of Exchange, mailboxes out of Exchange Online to an Exchange server running on Azure?
That's correct, because with the new data centers that they're making available.
I have a phrase for that, and please don't take it badly. That's for people who have more money than sense. It is super expensive to run it in Azure, just incredibly expensive. And what would be the purpose to do this? You want to?
It's because of some in-country.
It's data sovereignty.
Correct.
Okay, so the multi-geo is your answer there.
Yeah, it's not going to work because that particular country can't be exclusive.
Is it local, like Japan or China or
Germany?
Germany.
So you just
We
got
don't
to
have a story there,
it's
right?
got to wait for stuff to come to the German sovereign.
Yeah, I mean, if all else fails, move them back on-prem.
Yeah, I think the better solution here is if you want to have that level of control for now, I would go to a couple of nice, solid on-prem servers in Germany having a nice time.
Yeah,
Drinking
that's
beer and eating
basically
strudel.
the theory because our infrastructure team's already migrating VMs to Azure. So.
Yeah, but as Jeff says, you put this stuff in Azure that might look nice, might smell nice, might run nice, but you've got lots and lots of euros that you're going to be paying. Okay?
Thanks.
Now, I think it's yourself, sir, and then we're going over here, and we're approaching the end, so we'll...
Thanks. So we're using Exchange 2010 on-prem right now. If we want to migrate to 365 or 2016 on-prem, and we're using Semantic Enterprise Vault for our archives, what's the best way to do that? Like whether we go on-prem, hybrid, 365, like what's the best way to get out of that situation?
I've already talked to you about that, so you didn't like my answer, so I'm going to give you somebody else.
I just wanted more opinions.
There's probably two questions there, is there? I mean, is the first question how you're going to deal with the mailboxes, the second how you're going to deal with the Enterprise Vault?
Right, yeah, we'd have to upgrade Enterprise Vault. But regardless of what we do with, basically I want to know what's the best method for extracting the information from Enterprise Vault and putting it into, because if you can have a 100 gig mailbox,
yep.
There's really no sense to have
There
Semantic
are
Enterprise Vault
a
anymore.
bunch of archive migration vendors out there who will help you. I think most of them at this stage can handle all of the stuff like rehydration, which is important, and they can also deal with stub removal, which is also important. So just two I mentioned, Quadratech Archive Shuttle and Transvault. Two of them, they've been in the business for years, dealing with Enterprise Vault in particular. Come to me afterwards, I'll give you the details, okay? But definitely, this is a well-known science at this stage, let's put it like that. And terabytes of Enterprise Vault data are now very happy inside Office 365.
So,
okay?
Just to add to that, third-party tool for extracting data out of Enterprise Vault, the problem there, someone shouted it, upgrade Enterprise Vault because it's always EV for some reason. Do not rehydrate mailboxes and then move them to the cloud because that would be a waste of time. Move those mailboxes and those third-party tools, they can probably rehydrate directly either in the mailbox in the cloud or in the archive. And that's the way you should do it.
That's the way it happens.
Okay, thanks.
I've seen people rehydrate first and then move.
Yeah, but I mean, that's rehydration 101.
Without the one.
Without the one.
Excuse me, maybe a little stupid question, but talking about AV on a local Exchange server, does it make sense to activate the built-in Exchange AV software? I think so. Or is it better to use a third-party tool? And can this third-party tool do more, meaning scanning the mailbox database or stuff like that?
So I wouldn't trust the built-in anti-malware agents with my life. That is one thing. So I do think you need some additional layer of protection, third-party filtering for messages in transit. Now, when it comes to scanning the database itself, the VS API, which was used before, is gone. I know of third-party tools that scan the database using EWS or whatever it is. horrible thing to do, I believe. But you should always have something on the endpoint as well, and that gives you a multi-layered defense where obviously use the anti-malware agents because they have their use. Third-party filtering stops whatever needs to be stopped before it gets into Exchange, and if something does make it into the database, then you've got your third line of defense, which is your client-side antivirus, which should pick it up.
And then, real quick, some of the security PMs for 365 I'd worked with on my session had stated that actually having antivirus on the Exchange servers itself, not just something that's scanning Exchange, but actual OS antivirus, helped them during the WannaCry and whatnot outbreaks. So it is still effective. Because I think some people ask, like, well, why should I have it? I never logged on to Exchange now. No, there's still very valid reasons to have it. And I'm fairly certain they use Windows Defender in Exchange Online. So.
But did I understand you correctly? Sure, we have a EOP or something in front for the mail traffic. Then do we really need another Exchange AV solution on the local server? That's my
So
question.
for the server itself, Windows on that server,
No,
yes.
the Exchange part.
But not for Exchange particularly on that server. So for the messages or the mail or mail data, no. For the server that it runs, yes.
For sure, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I think we've reached the end, and all you guys want to go to Universal tonight, so you have to go home, make yourself pretty, make yourselves ready to go. So with that, thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the rest of Ignite. Thanks, gentlemen.